Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy with the Kellys. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
How are ya?
Fantastic. Always, right? Like, there's always something.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, something in the water, I think. But
It's
business
the heat.
ownership is hard right now. It is hard to be a business owner right
Hard
now.
anyways, but this heat wave, like, I don't know when this is going to air, but the heat wave we're in, I think it's because it hasn't dropped down at night, so nobody's sleeping.
Right.
But everybody's a hot mess.
Uh-huh. I feel like it's just, it's putting out fire after fire after fire.
Ironic because of the heat. Get it? Because the fire and the heat. But today we get to talk to Magnus Apollo Design. Magnus is amazing. He's like one of those people that as soon as you talk to him, I feel like everybody just becomes obsessed. Like you just want to, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a fangirl. I don't know.
Well, and I feel like we need a title for him because to say an artist or a maker doesn't seem to really capture everything that he is. And I'm curious, so when did you become aware of him? Like,
so immediately upon meeting him, I tried to hire him to make the most epically amazing mural for Knox. It was going to be on the wall in between Knox and Selena's. And I hope he has the sketch somewhere. If he has it, or if I can find the version I had, I'll share it. It had every nerdy reference as possible. The event door was going to be in a hobbit hole, like, and then it just expands it out from there. Like, it was everything. Because I saw his rocktopus, flipped out because I love octopi, talked to him a little bit, started talking to him about this project. Every time I talk to him about the project, once you hear our interview, you'll understand, like, you talk about one thing, and then it's just like, for people like me that are like ADD geek nuts, I'm like, ooh, tell me more. Ooh, tell me more. And I was like, just became obsessed with him. And then the pandemic hit shortly before we were supposed to start on the project. So we had pretty much gotten to like the sketch phase, and that was it. And then he was supposed to do it that spring. And then the pandemic hit, blah, blah, blah. But when I met him, he was doing something with MIT, and that's why he couldn't start right away.
gotcha, of course.
And I was like, the octopus guy is doing something with MIT. Like, just, yeah, you're right. Like, there's no title that encompasses all that Magnus is.
No, and I met him 13 years ago just as a customer, and he would come in for Walking Dead nights and other nights and just hang out, and he was just a fascinating guy. And like the Factoid Friday thing that he does, he used to do all the time. He was like, hey, Kelly, did you know this? I'm like, no, but I did not.
He's the reason the internet was invented.
Right, exactly.
So that we could all be exposed to Magnus. But we should just let people hear from Magnus and make their own decisions. Hi, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kelly.
The hosts of Getting Real with Bossy, the real, raw, and honest podcast about small business ownership. With our experience, 9 businesses and over 25 years, we continue to bear it all and share what we wish we had known.
We move past the must be nices and start getting real. Come along as we interview small business owners and get the true story.
And leave with another tool for the next time you feel alone on this journey. Hi, Magnus.
Hello.
So I know you by like 3 different names. How do you want us to be introducing you today?
Magnus works for me. My first name is John, but if you say John, you got to say it 4 times because there's 10,000 Johns out there. So I'm like, oh, you're talking about me. I'm that. Yeah. So John Magnus Champlin. So Magnus works.
Well, because I know I met you at Marshall Street, so I know people off of what their credit cards say. So that's what you'll always be in my head. But Magnus is way cooler. So we'll stick with that.
And as 2 Kellys talking to you, we get it.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So I want to just go back to what we were just talking about before we hit record, because it's so funny and it's such a small business owner thing, is we're talking about what we have to do today. And we all have different notes on different types of books. Magnus, you have a spiral. Kelly is something easy to rip off. I feel like your ripping off is so much more like the spiral ripping off.
It's like hanging up
and
the phone
throwing
back
away.
in the day.
It is exactly that. It is the tearing sound of paper, the crinkling it up, and I have to crinkle it up. I have to like crumple it up, and like that was yesterday, gone. Yeah,
love it.
No.
Oh, it's like when I write something down that I just accomplished, just so I can cross it off.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
valid. That is that's a reward for us. That is,
Really
like,
is.
you have done it. Yeah.
I think that's why I switched to smaller paper too. Like it's just easier.
Because watch, say I have a sheet of paper. This is a giant sheet. And that's just too much room.
No.
This is just right.
Yeah. How are you going to feel fulfilled with a page that big? Honestly,
No,
like
bigger writing. Too.
Yeah,
Really go crazy with it.
exactly. I'm like 16-point writing on that when it comes to that. Anyway. So you are a creator, a maker, an artist. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I have a studio right downtown in Rochester. I am really a creative. I don't know what my title is because I want to do everything. That's the trouble with my brain. I want to know how to do all sorts of random stuff. So I'm always looking over the next thing, the next materials to play with, the next designs. I've been working for myself off and on most of my existence. I've had a handful of decades here working for other folks, but I've always been working for myself, even on the side hustle and stuff. And about 6 years ago, I went back and worked for myself fully again, 100% working for myself. I have a design studio. I do illustrations, mural work. I'm a problem solver for other agencies. Like a lot of times agencies will come to me being like, we designed X, Y, or Z. We don't know how to build it or whatever. So a lot of my projects are, I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. For the lack of good or for bad, I'm a problem-solving studio for other creatives. So
when I first met you, it was through. Well, I actually saw you. I think at Mayday with the Rocktopus.
You did.
I freaked out because I'm a huge lover of Rochester and I'm a huge lover of octopus. I have little octopus earrings on today. I had them on for like a week and I almost took them off and I was like, well, I'm going to see Magnus today. I should wear my octopus earrings. And the Rocktopus is just amazing. And then I looked at the rest of your art and then we talked about you doing a mural for our event space at Knox, which was going to be the coolest effing mural ever made. And then I think the pandemic, so we were waiting for you to finish a project. And then I think the pandemic hit like shortly after. But I want to say the project, and this is why I'm bringing that up, was something about a telescope or like something like science-y. Like it was.
Oh, I do a bunch of different stuff. That's the crazy thing is I never remember what I do too. Like every year when I at the end of my like year of working for myself, I put together a list of things I've worked on. And I went back and I saw a list of something the other day and I was like, wait, I worked on that? I did. Oh my God. I am such a frazzled person. I think what I was working on with you was I made an installment for MIT's Fusion Lab.
That's what it was.
So MIT has a whole fission department trying to make stuff happen. They're actually making like small building size fusion reactors now to help power the world. And they came in like, listen, we have a lot of people with money, but we need to have them understand what we're doing, and we can't tell it to. We can't just make a giant diorama like a museum. You push a button, it turns on, and lights light up, and everyone then give us money. So my friend Aaron Delahante, he actually worked for the Field Museum and did that sort of stuff. So I was making a mini fusion reactor diorama for MIT. It was like 18 feet long, 3 feet wide. So it's a little narrow and it's a weird, awkward perspective. So it's like, yeah, so I had to make a whole diorama for MIT. That's what I was just wrapping up last time I talked to you. So, or was working on that one.
Yeah.
Not that, but
it's like kind of like a telescope. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. It had stars in the painting, so that counts. So
yeah, and for those that are just listening, Kelly and I are just sitting, shaking our head because is there anything that you haven't done? Like researching for you was impossible. I'll show you. I've got like 10 different tabs up on my computer. I'm like, what haven't you done?
Yeah, you think that's a lot of tabs? You see the tabs open in my head. It's just
I don't think no, I'm good.
No, I want to do everything. Like over the course of my life, we used to work in graphic design agencies for a while. I did print material for a long time. Mm-hmm. I worked in the software industry for a little while doing PR and marketing. Like during the when Apple just got going in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was working part-time at a software company that was here in Rochester. And the guy who owned the business, he was like, hey, we're expanding our marketing team. You're the most social bastard I've ever met in my life. Do you want to be our marketing PR guy? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. So they gave me a gold card, and my business card was Schmooze Hound, and they would just like go make people love us. I go to trade shows and talk stuff up, but I'm also a visual person, so I help design the booths, I would design sets, and I'm pretty socially aware enough that I would kind of design the interaction aspect of it, how people should approach the booth and how to talk to things. So I would spend a lot of my time schmoozing that way and learning techniques and tech and stuff there. I really love going to find an artist or a creative and just volunteering my time sometimes. Like, listen, you need 2 weeks of help. I'm a big guy. I can carry stuff. What can I do to help? Because I want to learn how to do X, Y, or Z. Like I helped the Frederick Douglass statues here in Rochester, all those ones you see floating around, because Olivia Kim is this very talented small Asian woman, and she needs to carry giant boxes around. I'm like, listen, I'm a Viking of a guy. Let me know. I can carry some stuff, but I want to learn how to do mold making. I want to learn to do fiberglass. I want to do bronze. So like the Frederick Douglass statue at the airport, the bronze statue, I helped do that. So I was playing with bronze last year before. So I just want to learn how to do everything. Life is very short. I want to know how to do it all at the end of it. So I'm trying to get all the accomplishments. At the end of the life, it's being like, you've lived 97% of life. Done 10,000 accomplishments. It's all the score at the end. I'm going to go.
You win life.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. We'll try. We'll see. Fingers are crossed for that. We'll see how it pans out.
So I have a question.
Sure.
As a small business owner, especially early on, you say yes to everything, whether it fits or not.
Yes.
You just go, right? And you're like, I don't know. You're like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing or what's going to hit. You just listed so many different things. How do you say no? Like, how do you plan out your year?
I am, again, throwing stuff at the wall, hope it sticks. The trouble with a lot of times the creative projects, people don't realize is like I'm bidding on projects too. So I'll send out a lot of things hoping to get one of them and get nothing. And then sometimes they'll say yes to all five. So there's a lot of chaos, a lot of things that way. How I plan my year is a lot of short game running. You know what I mean? Like I try to do 6 month planning and I do some big projects. My goal, like when we were working on the mural together, the 2019 and 2020, I was so happy. I had things booked up. I'm like, I am booked till August. I have this calendar looking like a pretty thing. Like this is, I'm just so happy. Then chaos kind of happened there, but I'm trying to get better. I'm now saying no to projects, which is a very, very rewarding thing to say. I never thought I'd be able to say it this way, being like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Future me and business me is very thankful when I say no to things. But a lot of stuff, I like to work, which is kind of a good or bad thing. So a lot of times the projects I say a lot of yes to a lot of smaller things, and they kind of build up that way. But yeah, I wish I had a solid answer for it aside from just chaos and, like you said, sticking to the wall. I try to now figure out things that are beneficial. I have a whiteboard on across the wall over here, and on there are things that I need for myself, I realize. And it's a lot of things. It's like just simple, like creatively, a creative outlet. Is it no stresses, no red flags when talking to someone? So as I'm saying yes to projects or no to projects now, I look over at this giant thing on the wall that's like, yes, no, maybe. Am I willing to do it too? One of the things on there is like simple words, like willing, able. Am I able to do it? Willing. So I go through as I'm going through being like, yes, 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 3 weeks. Yes, yes, yes. I can do it next month. Yes, yes, yes. Or no, no, no. Go away. Never bother me. Lose my number. So, but yeah, it's a lot of things. So.
Was it similar in the creative worlds as it is like for the brick and mortar? I feel like even though like Kelly and I have been doing this a while, and I feel like we kind of got shoved back to like year one during the pandemic, like things that you thought you had grown past. And now all of a sudden, because your sales are down so far and there's not so much you can do, we found ourselves saying yes to everything again. And then we're just, it just compiles the stress of working through a pandemic that you're like back in the beginning again. Was it like that for creatives as well? Like you just start like, yes, 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 I need to get the business going.
It was really weird. So the pandemic hit in a weird sort of weird. There was a lot of, the nice thing was there was a lot of money in people's pockets during the pandemic. I wasn't expecting. So a lot of small sales were happening. Like a lot of artists I knew, like when they suddenly like those trade shows or like little art shows came back, it was a great year following it. So there was a kind of a mad grab to get a lot of stuff happen that way. There definitely has been, but at the exact same time that the pandemic ended, AI and art generative things have kicked off now. So there's a new dynamic happening too. So a lot of the small projects that I used to get have now, like, this is really weird. I used to do like illustrations for podcasts or YouTube channels, just little illustrations to explain a story. Now, just type in, I want to have a Bigfoot tap dancing on a top of a building. And it's just done, here's 45 to choose from. So a lot of little things kind of dried up. So I've been saying yes to different projects, but there's been such a weird, like people for a while didn't know what they wanted to do too. So it was a lot of, hey, do you want to do this? yes. Oh, maybe we'll see how it comes together. So there's a lot of weird vagueness happening in there. So if you were like a small deliverable for like an art show, say if like I help these guys, the fairy doors that they sell here in Rochester, awesome dudes, and they've been doing crazy awesome stuff because everyone had a little bit more like $20 in their pocket to do stuff. So a lot of small stuff we're doing, and it's fine. I like doing little things that way. But my projects I'm trying to do in a range of, I do a larger project. Instead of doing hustling for $20, I want to do one big project where I put a month of my time into, and those have been in a weird sort of. So I've been saying yes to a lot of things, hoping they pan out. So it very much is in a weird state, and it's different than any other time I've seen before. There are some people doing really well, but a lot of people are not doing very well, and I'm trying to find the projects that like a lot of yeses. I feel like I'm restarting a bit again, like you said, but it's a different scenario than it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. So.
Well, and I was wondering about that too. And we talk about like 10 years ago, I was, in 4 years into business, I couldn't make an ad. I had to call out for that stuff. And then things like Canva exists. And like all of a sudden these graphic designers were not as necessary for small level businesses like ours.
Which is great.
So,
right.
Yeah. So what do you think about AI? Where does that fit? Do you see it becoming... I get different responses from different artists and different creatives that I speak to.
I always say the same thing. The sky is not falling with AI.
No.
There is any tool. Like if I give an example, back in the day when the synthesizer came out, if you were an orchestra person playing in the orchestra, you're like, no TV show needs an orchestra to play the music anymore because of the synthesizer doing the whole job.
What a great example. Yeah.
But there's still orchestras happening now. It just very particular. The average orchestra player is no longer kind of there. So there's a bit of a thinning out of the herd. If you're a talented graphic designer, Canva's just fine. Like I'm doing design work for people now that use Canva, and I set their templates up for them because I want them to do the best thing. And I think a designer and a graphic designer should utilize these tools. The world's different. Like there's always a bit of gatekeeping with graphic design. There's artists, there's graphic design, agency life, and architects. There's the same energy level of art, and there's an ego level that goes up, I feel like. Like, as a person who worked in another job I did over the years, I worked as a graphic designer for a timber frame company years back and stuff. And a bunch of different architects would come in and do stuff. And architects would tell me every time that they're designing the future. They're the artists of the future. They're designing the way in. But then the graphic designers were very much like, well, we are the ones who make the concept. Like our concepts, our ideas, and everything else is this kind of full of themselves. Not to sound too bad about some of the agencies. I didn't enjoy working in agency life. It was fine, but they chew you up pretty bad. But they liked being like, well, we are the designers. They're very much like, you should be thankful that we're here working for you. And now these like Canva, even the Adobe products have templates that are even better and generative now. We now have a meeting where the average person can make something that is, like I said, Canva's remarkable. There is still a component to Canva and those doing it that I think you still good having a graphic eye does help. Like there are some rules to graphic design that really like too many fonts, too many illustrations, too busybody. So when I can tell you if I see an ad, I'm like, oh, that person used Canva, doesn't know graphic design. So there is still a level that the professional, the person who doesn't know graphic design, the brick and mortar stores need ads, will do an ad. Those folks will then see their ad needs a little bit extra. They'll reach out and talk to an artist and meet somewhere in that middle. So there's this mixing happening now, and that's the reason my studio exists. I'm not a huge studio. I'm not going to charge you $20,000 to do an ad. I'm like, hey, I'm doing an ad. Like, you have a template. Here's 2 hours of my time. Let's do that. So there's a lot of little 2-hour time, 3-hour little things fall in the middle. So that mixing between the agency life that was so like, you should be thankful we're here to making stuff, and here's a $10,000 bill for 2 hours of my time, versus the person like, I'm a small business. I don't have the money to do that sort of stuff. I get it. I love working with small businesses because you're hungry, you're working for stuff. It translates. Like my 2 hours to me is a day of your extra cash. You know what I mean? Like I know this. I know that's going to cost you money to do it. I hate causing a small business cost some money to them. So there is this a breed of designers now that are interfacing using that. Like, I'll build you your template for Canva so you have it right. Do you want to like send me? I'll audit stuff for people, for lack of a better term, being like, what do you think? Can I have an eye of it? Yeah, sure. That there is a space for it in there. It's a great simple tool. And that crazy thing is I have people that they send me their design, something else. I can use these tools too and make you something in 30 minutes versus a day's time. So it's saving me time. I did a design recently I work with the Seneca Park Zoo as well. Another one thing I do. If you're ever at the Seneca Park Zoo, look at the signs for the Seneca Park Zoo. If they're illustrated, they're mine. They're all the animals are on there. Yeah.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Yeah.
I got to go back and look with fresh eyes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look at the savannah. Yeah. So if it's an illustrated sign, if it's a photo, it's not mine. But if it's an illustrated, that's mine. So they reached out to me. Rochester needed a sign done for the butterfly belt. And they were doing a lot of pollinator stuff through there. They're like, oh, well, we need to have this. We need to have animals on here. And I used AI generative tools on Illustrator to make the hummingbird and the flower I needed, because I don't need to redraw it. It just needs to be what it is. And with like Adobe Illustrator, this is the 3 colors that I need to use for the whole thing. So it generates these animals in that, and they needed it in 2 hours time. Like, I can't draw this, and it's like a rush job. I was going to charge you guys X amount, and they wouldn't do it. I myself made the project in a day's time. Would have been a 3 days time, probably before a week, whatever it is. It saved me time. It saved everyone. The product's happy. So there's tools to be used better by all parties. Yeah. So I said the sky is not falling. AI is there. I can't wait to see what the next generation, as students are coming up, because there already is a backlash in like AI art. It's funny. The kids are calling AI art boomer art, which is hysterical. It's this odd little slam at people who just use the AI generated. You can tell those pictures that are very clearly AI generated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's already a backlash of students and young artists being like, well, this is just an old person typing it in and not caring. So life has a way of sort of balancing itself out. So I have a bit of faith that it's still there. We still can do it. So yeah. Long answer for a question here, but
that's okay. That's fantastic.
There's so many things that people, just in our generation have said we're going to ruin the world. And here we are 20 years later, and it's made our lives. I can't imagine running a restaurant without tech.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't envision it.
Google, email, auto pay, POS systems, like doing everything by hand. I mean,
bookkeeping without QuickBooks.
I worked restaurants, before tech got big. So like, I know like my end of it as like a server or a bartender and just having the cash register and writing everything down. I can't imagine the person that had to go through all those papers. And people are like, oh, technology. I'm like, it's amazing. I don't understand.
Right.
Technology does make the life better. It's when used well, technology is done. The trouble is humans get in our own way. There's like, technology works good for $5.99 a month. We can help you. And like, oh, everyone's got to get their hand in their pocket here. So, but yeah, I don't know how. And I don't know how you do work in restaurants in the first place. As a person, I love food, something else. Restaurants, I have never worked in restaurants because I look at that being like, that's a chaos that I don't think I could ever do. I am super appreciative of anyone who ever done it. So.
You talk about all the tabs in your head. Like, that's why a lot of us work in restaurants, because we can't sit still. Like, you can't not have a constant thing to solve. And when you're in a restaurant, like you're never doing the same thing twice. Every single person you interact with changes the trajectory of whatever it was that minute that you were going to do. And I always joke that for me, because I'm creative in my head, but never found the right outlet for it, the closest I ever found to a job I could do that wasn't in a restaurant was teaching special ed to behaviorally challenged teenagers at Hillside.
Wow.
Yeah. That's same.
That was the only job I was like, oh, I could do this. Like, cool.
Chaos energy. It's a definite thing. I get it now. Food, I'm always nervous I'm going to mess up food. And also I have this giant beard. So I always I have too much stuff in the way for that here. But yeah, that's the reason I'm allowed. I'm like over 6 feet tall. I'm kind of hyperactive for a big guy. Me in a quiet agency in a cubicle farm did not work well. So I had to work in my own studio. I have a door. I can lock my door. I can go for long walks. I am constantly moving around. Since the time I was born, I was relatively quiet when I was a kid because I talked fast and got made fun of, but my brain was still doing stuff. So I was always in the background just doing things. And yeah, now that I got this studio, chaos reigns, but I'm can easily ride this chaos. I need it. I need that new stuff. I don't revisit things. I'm horrible at building a habit. Like, I am not a habit forming creature. And for lack of better term, I like, it's just not in my wheelhouse. I want it to be like, some people get up every morning, do their thing every day, have their cup of coffee, exercise, go for their walk. And every day seems so beautifully organized. And me, it's like, what day is it? Chaos.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, we're not that different here.
One of us.
No, Kelly was just saying recently how everybody's like, oh, you need to have your to-do list and your time management and you know, you plan it all out like we try to on our big pieces of paper. But she was like, I realized I had to do it in the morning.
Right. Everybody's like, before you go to bed, because I was having trouble sleeping and getting organized, especially after my fall. And there was like, you know, get that stuff written out the night before, you're going to sleep so much better. And I would do that. And the next morning, I'm like, well, I can't do any of this today because I don't feel that. Or I wake up to 6 different text messages, and that completely changes how I'm going to run my businesses. So I have to do it in the moment because it is always just going to be chaos.
Yeah, people, they think, oh yeah, set it up early. I'm like, no, I wasted my time doing something that's not now. That's like right now, today is, I'm already getting text messages now that's changed my trajectory since we started this interview right now.
Yeah.
So,
I have 3.
Yeah. Dude, if I had wrote down my like, I have my loose to-do list. Like we said, we have in here things I should have done yesterday. And then when I take this piece of paper off, the sound of tearing the piece of paper off this ring thing makes me happy. And then I write stuff down, and there's been new things since I wrote this yesterday that last night I didn't know. Like, so
I just added 2 things on my list while we were talking because I forgot about them.
And Kelly and I were just at an event at Google, and one of the women who was presenting said that every person is 35 hours behind on their to-do list, which we were like, oh my God,
a business owner.
So helpful. Right. But we're like, but small business owner, we're like a full like work week behind our to-do list, because some stuff I know that I need to probably do next week, and it won't be a month until I get to it.
So I have friends of mine that have some neurological disorders as they got older, and they're like, one of the signs for it is having to-do lists everywhere, notes everywhere. I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, so I was nervous, and I talked to a medical friend of mine. He's like, no, you're just ADHD, and don't worry about it. You're not like, don't add more to your stress. Because I have whiteboards. I have 2 or 3 whiteboards in here that I'm constantly writing stuff when I walk in the door that I like look at. And the trouble is I'm trying to get myself to like notice them. Sometimes I'll write these to-do lists down, and then I just like kind of tune them out because I have so much more stuff to look at. But it is a constant
stuff you'd
thing.
rather do.
Oh, yeah. I have priorities. Now I have sections that I write in. Like, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. This side of things that has to be done. And like so when I visually look at it, I'm a very visual person. So all my layouts and even my to-do lists, like this is a chaos to-do list just because it's right near me right now so I can quick look. But if you look at my whiteboard, there is my client list going on right now, things I need to do, things that are a priority. The one board in front of me is actually a giant circle area that I just write in red letters, like red alert, this needs to be done now. That's my, like, whatever's on that board is like the thing that needs to be focused on right now. And I have to train myself to like look at that when I'm walking in or out, being like, oh. So, and it's one of those things that I have to make sure that never gets tuned out. I have to like remind myself. I have to erase it every once in a while.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Red alert board. I need to go to Staples today.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have to be very cognizant because I think I may have had a red alert board next to it, and this is just the next red alert board. Like the other one is like, that's not red alert enough. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Red adjacent.
Yeah. Orange alert, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, so it's a lot of juggling, a lot of attention things. I've been trying a different assistance out, which is its own stressors into itself because I am a chaotic man. And I'm trying, a friend of mine they have assistants and they're always like, the trick is you got to find an assistant that's like you to help you out because you get it. I'm like, well, that's like, I've never met anyone like me, for good or for bad. This is not any sort of egotistical thing saying that way. I feel bad if I met someone like me, like, oh, you're just like me. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, but I'm trying to find an assistant that can help with the chaos a bit. And I've tried different people out. And so I have a meeting tonight. I have a new woman I'm coming in. So fingers crossed, everyone hope for me here, is just trying to find, I'm testing out. I had some other artists I brought in to test out, to like be assistants. And they were too artsy. Or I had one assistant came in and she's really cool, but she was like, she wanted to hang out with artists and be stoned all the time. Like, that's fine. I like being a stoned artist too, but we need to get some work done. So I'm trying to find that special balance to help me. So the person I'm meeting with tonight and working with, she's very analytical. She's not a creative, but she's like a good writer. So I'm working on grant writing and stuff. So I made a list of where my weaknesses are, and now I'm trying to figure out where, like, who fills this list over here versus what my wish list is on this thing. And like, so an appreciative art person who's a great writer, who's also, so I've been writing down over the course of 3 or 4 years, I've been writing down what I liked and disliked of the previous people I had. And I kind of look at them being like, okay, so she seems hits this mark. So I'm trying to interface better just because I'm so scatterbrained that I want to have someone, just a little bit of assistant to help out, which was a big thing for me because I'm not saying I need help. If I'm saying assistant, I feel like I'm saying I need help. And it's not needing help. It's just like, do you think these Fortune 500 company guy does it all himself? No, he needs someone who check an email. He needs someone who lets you know when there's so.
You're hiring your general manager.
Trying.
Exactly.
You got to find the person that's going to do it as good as you or better, but probably not the way you do it.
I had a person I hired great, and he came in and he was working away, and there was a collapse, complete failure, and I had to do all of his work that he did in the 2 weeks in the 2 days before the project because he just didn't do it right. And I've had another person that came in that I had to constantly go back over and check his work. I'm like, well, now I'm doing the work twice instead of me, and I took on more jobs because he was helping me out. So I'm like, I said yes to more things. So now I have twice as many projects, and I got to do double the work and proof them. Yeah, so it's been that's my new thing. If they have any advice for helping me to figure out a good assistant, but I don't know.
I think that you were on the super track because I always tell people when they're hiring for the first time, like, or even just going into business, like, here are the things you're good at. Here are the things you're not good at. You don't need to hire the people for the things you're good at. You need to hire people for the things you're not good at. Like, what are your priorities? What do you need help with? Put your job description. Here's everything I'm responsible for, and then highlight all the shit I don't want to do. This is the stuff I hate. This is the stuff you hate it because you're not good at it. Like, that's not where your brain fits. And then find somebody that can fill all those marks. So it sounds like you are on a perfect path, and I think she's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
I think so too.
Yeah, she seems pretty great. So I'll let you know. Yeah, it's actually hysterical. My studio, if you work for me, this is a running joke. It's you work for me, you get called a henchman or henchwoman, hench they, whatever you want to do. I'm gender pronoun. It's all those things are fine. I had a project that I worked on a while back, and on the list they had artists and the name of the studio, and then it said team name for some weird reason. And as a joke, I put down henchman, something else. So it actually was the George Eastman House. This is hysterical. So I did an installment at George Eastman House for a big event. And on there's a big sign that says Magnus Apollo, and there's an arrow. It's like Magnus Apollo henchman, another arrow. I have a sign still, being like, oh. So yeah, so I chuckle. Anytime you work for me, it's on the contract. Like, you can be henchmen, hench they, whatever you want to have is your identifiable thing. But yeah, I have henchmen that work for me now, which has been pretty fun.
That's fantastic.
So I'm looking for my number one henchman right now. I'm trying to find that. It's my trick. So.
Oh, well, keep us posted on how she works out. I believe in it.
Yeah.
So I think this is hard for me to, I always think, like, what is your inspiration? But I feel like sometimes your inspiration is learning new things from new people, and your love of Rochester, which I think is so compelling and probably why you get asked to do projects for the Seneca Park Zoo and things like that. Do you have things that inspire you? I hope it's not a sore subject, but I am seeing behind you. Is that Finn?
Oh, it's another Boston Terrier, actually. So I did this is during the pandemic. Lollipop Farm, since there was you couldn't actually hang out and do stuff, they did a charity walk. So I made a zillion different animals in there. So that's a Boston Terrier that it's actually a buddy of mine, a guy I met in New Jersey. I was doing an installation I was helping an installation at the Contemporary Art Gallery in New Jersey, and I hung out with this random dude. It was on 420, so it's a little bit of a blurry day, but there's a guy had this awesome Boston Terrier. So these are actually done on Sintra panels. So I did a whole bunch of animals for so these little things. So this is actually, guy's name is Thunder Bob. So it's on Sintra panels. So I put them all around I lined the whole walk area with animals. I had giant horses, emus.
We still have some.
Yeah, I gave them to everyone. Everyone took them all. So there's cats and dogs. So yeah, I keep this behind me. So I have my. Don't get me wrong, I miss my dog Finn. He was an amazing Boston Terrier. But this is, and I just have him over my shoulder because I think it's awesome to have a Boston Terrier in here.
Oh, absolutely.
So, it looks like he's sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Your post about Finn and Factoid Fridays were probably my favorite things in like the 2010s.
Oh, okay. I still do the Factoid Fridays, which is shocking too.
Oh, I know. I love them.
But Finn was an amazing little dog. He was Like he was a cute little Boston Terrier. I just met. He was actually a year old when I met him. Yeah, he's definitely an inspiration to hang out with. Just because one of the reasons the jobs I took where I can take a dog with me, because I realized I like having my dog with me. So it gave me a realization that there's certain things I want in my life for work. And one of them, one point, was make sure I have my dog with me, and everyone loved him. My God, if I didn't bring Finn, people were like, "Why are you here?" You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, but yeah, inspiration for Rochester. I love a good community. Rochester is one of the most supportive communities I've ever met. It's like if you go to New York City, if you're an artist, you go to New York City, everyone in New York City has 5 friends, and they're all trying to remind every friend why they're the best and most talented friend. And that gets tiring very quickly. I went down, I thought about moving down there about 10 years ago, just to see. I was like getting kind of done with some of the projects I was working on. I was like, well, there's some opportunities down there. And I went down to there's this really amazing art collaborative right on the Hudson. I forget the name of it right now. And I'm one of those people that if I get into an art community, I go visit the galleries. Like I was in Seattle and Alaska last year, and I really just bopped around meeting all artists and galleries and stuff. And when I was in New York City, there's a person making this random kind of cool thing. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. What do you do to make it? Just being a conversational starter. And they reacted like I was like, how dare you ask like I was stealing from them. And I was like,
right.
It's not, I wasn't stealing. I was just making general small talk. I generally want to know how it's made. And I realized I'm like, that's not how I am. That's not how, and Rochester's not that way. If you have an idea in a project, within 6 months, you have a team of people behind you excitedly hanging out, ready to party and make cool stuff happen. And we're a supportive community. So reason I like Rochester, that Rocktopus drawing came out as just a random, like I like big kaiju, like monsters and stuff, but I also like architecture and scenes. So yeah, so I just like dealing with the city here. It's an excitable town. For a while, it was a very cost-effective town. I worry now it's getting more expensive, and a lot of designers and people I know who are creatives are kind of being forced out a bit just because, like, my rent at my apartment went up $500 a month a year or so ago. Like $500 more a month I couldn't cover, so I had to move out. So it was like just one of those sort of.
And studio spaces too are becoming fewer.
Oh God, yeah. I'm actually nervous because my studio, I love my studio. My studio is right at High Falls over on State Street. Just the gorge. I can walk out the door and the waterfall and gorge are right there. I can walk it around. I wanted to have my studio downtown. I had a studio before that was in Fairport, and it was nice, but Rochester is such a big component of who I am and what I want. I wanted to be in downtown. I wanted to be part of the community here. So I'm nervous because they're building the park. There's a state park going in literally across the way here. I watch it every day being like, all I know is developers are going to be like, oh, well, market value is the thing we got. Like I'm waiting for my rent to go up and me being kicked out of here, which is too bad because I've been working hard I've been here, 5-6 years now here. So I'm nervous about it a bit, but I love this city. This city's got some of the most amazingly creative and weird. There's a weird spark to the city too. Like there's a reason why a lot of religions started here. I don't know why that is, but there's a reason somehow that there's like a lot of bizarre religions that came through here.
Water.
So, yeah, north-facing rivers and yeah.
It's always water. What is the weirdest or most exciting project you've done?
Weirdest. I mean, the MIT one was kind of weird. I've been making props for movies lately, which has been fun. Like I made a giant 10-foot tall troll for a movie, like a costume for a guy to wear. It was a 10-foot tall, huge eared troll thing.
What did you make it out of?
So actually, the interlocking foam things you walk on, like all those mats, I did that, wrapped it with skin, I actually harvested a part of a monster from another movie because it's all low budget. Like I work, I try to be nice about it. A lot of the projects I work with, I try to be cost effective. I'm really horrible at asking for money. That's my thing. If I can figure out, the reason I'm getting an assistant is to have someone help ask for money. But I really much try to keep in people's budgets. And it was made of just a lot of animal fur, like foam and PVC pipes and inexpensive things. Like I found some spare foam. A guy was getting rid of a couch, and he also had all the replacement foam for upholstery foam. And he's like, oh, I just don't need that. So I don't steal it. People give it to me, and I just put it away as a thing. So I have a collection of random supplies. So if these low budget movie guys hey, can you do this? I'm like, okay, yeah, I already have this material. Don't worry about it. I'll toss whatever low money at it. So yeah, it was foam and duct tape and a lot of hope. So I made those things. So
I want to see.
I also have 3D printers now too, which is amazing. I have 3D printers. So resin printers. So I make I need the eyeballs and fangs and teeth and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So I a lot of fun budgets and stuff. I'm working on an ad. Actually, tomorrow. Today's Friday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow I'm working on doing an ad with Strange Bird because they're working on some small ads with them, and I did some stuff with Pizza Wizard. I don't know. I did if you know Pizza Wizard guys there. I actually did an ad for them last year. They asked for a giant wizard that was kind of like stoned and weird, so I made a costume wizard. The commercial is one of the most weirdest things I've ever worked. That's probably one of the weirdest things I worked on. The local ad for Pizza Wizard is a pizza wizard, the guy who's a wizard, and he's just like this long blue beard face, a round pizza face, like the huge thing, and he like transforms a child into a piece of pizza, and then the brother eats it. And it's like, I show it to people, people are like, it's like an art house ad. But the crazy thing is, it got so much shares. I love it. Oh my God, it went so viral. People were like, what the fuck is this? And I was not to swear.
It's okay.
No, we swear all the time.
Okay, good. Because I swear way too much. Rochester, we swear a lot. We use the F word as a comma. It's great. I love it here.
We really do.
Yeah, so I did this ad, and it got weirdly viral, and it was just this, and I'm learning how to do makeup and props and stuff that way. So it's the people I work with are very forgiving in the sense that it's like, this isn't refined. I'm still learning myself. Like, you get a discount because we're learning together sometimes too. So the weirdest thing I did was last year I released, helped Pizza Wizard and those guys make this pizza commercial and it's, I'll try to find it for you and send it to you. Please
do.
It's funny. The guys I work with are just zany movie makers, and I think that lands well. People used to certain ads. People see the same sort of like, and then here's the ad for soap, and the same sort of formula. Like I worked in advertising and agency life for a while, so I used to see storyboards a lot, and there's so many similar storyboards out there that people are used to it. And doing weird, odd things catches people off guard so much that people love that. I think people in the world should be caught off guard, like in all the right ways.
Well, and that's what makes you watch it.
Yeah,
so
totally.
You stop
Tune
just
in.
Kind of zoning out.
Oh my God. Yeah. And Pizza Wizard said about it, like that day, that whole week, they had so many people come in. They're like, we saw this ad. What the hell? I'm like, good. That makes me feel good. You paid for me at least, that coming in that way. But yeah, there's been a lot of things. Like that's why I hide art for a while. My big installments, I have these 8-foot wide birds that I've been putting around. Like I just put a couple around. They got taken already. But I'm doing some large installment pieces because I want someone to walk around a corner and be like, what the hell is this? So I love it. Yeah, my goal, my real goal for the next couple of years is I want to do large installment things. I met with a guy Wednesday who is a light and visual person who does these large pieces and large. So my pieces are made out of. So that was made out of Sintra. The other stuff I make out of is coroplast, which is the same thing that political signs are made out of. That sort of plastic stuff. The things. So I can do design work and print them out. I have a friend of mine that has a 4x8-foot printer. So I print these giant sheets out, and I do these larger than life installments that they're cost effective. Like I couldn't paint that and make it cost effective, but I can do a digital illustration and scale them up. So I'm trying to do large things. Like I've been going around. I went to Toronto a couple times this past year to meet with some folks. I'm trying to do a big installment like around the lake because water is so important now that we're not realizing it. So I'm trying to do on large pieces. Like I would turn my screen to show you these giant things, but I worry about unplugging and losing the whole connection here. So the precarious balance of a person in an old tech. But yeah, I have these enormous pieces that are made out of coroplast. But yeah, so I do these bigger than life things. I've been having more fun. Like when Bernie Sanders got the crossover Bernie Sanders, that guy that
I remember those.
Yeah. So on a whim, I just made them. I didn't even think about selling them. I just made life-size Bernie Sanders and gave them to all my photographer friends, being like, "Here, have a Bernie Sanders. Put him around." I think this is funny.
They're
as hell.
amazing.
Yeah. So I sell a bunch of them in Vermont still. I got to do a summer version. People in Vermont ask me like, "Can you do a summer version so we can have them sitting outside like mittens and shorts?" So I may do that at some point. So, but yeah, I've been trying to do more larger installments because I want. I love this community. I think the community needs to be caught off guard more and smile. Everyone's stressed. So I've been slowly testing stuff out. Like in Christmas time, I do these Christmas tree displays. Every year I do a new Christmas tree. I do a snack cakes, those big, the Christmas tree snack cakes you can see.
Yeah.
So I do 8-foot tall versions of those. You can buy them for your house. So I've been doing them. And my goal, I was testing out, if you're going up 590, there is a place over near Tryon Park that I've been testing out to see if people notice stuff. Like if you ever look driving past, I'd think like, oh, I need to be 4 foot, it's too small, 8 foot. So I've been slowly testing things out to see if people notice things.
Okay.
So I've been building random stuff to catch people off guard. So my goal is to make more
do
stuff.
drive by.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's amazing.
And you do so much to better the community. Do you ever just be like, what's the point?
I do stuff for me. That's the difference. I feel like I love people catch stuff, but I make stuff that makes me laugh. I had a person point it out to me once, and I made me laugh because I'm really horrible at social media. I like social media, but I never share what I'm working on. People are always caught off guard. Like, you do this, this, and this. I didn't see it. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even take a picture. I forgot to share it. And a friend of mine who's in agency life, and she goes, you annoy me because you live a life like you don't have an audience. I'm like, that's kind of what I want. Like, as bad as it makes to make money this way, but it makes me laugh. Like, it makes me chuckle enough, and that's the thing. I need to make more money because I like making things that catches me off guard. When I don't have enough money, I can't make things. So I do get tired a bit here and there, but I get tired a little bit more sometimes of me trying to. Like, I want to help people. So sometimes I get tired because I get burnt out by trying to help folks. But in regards to making things and art and helping out that way, that fuels me a little bit too. Like, I love this community. I love you guys. You guys hustle, do stuff. My God, like Marshall Street, I used to walk over to Marshall Street because I used to live around the corner from there forever. And I used to just come over. And there were certain days where I just the din of everyone excitedly talking or complaining, that is a good energy to me. So sometimes just if I do get burnt out, I just sit quietly in the corner, which is hard to imagine because I talk so much. But I sit quietly in the corner and watch the community just interact and have fun and talk about their day or something else. But yeah, it does get. I give a lot of energy out, and luckily it gets bounced back to me. The reason I like Rochester, it definitely comes back to me in a way that no other city I've ever encountered with does. A lot of cities take. Rochester takes, gives back, takes, drinks, cries, takes, gives. There's a bunch of different stuff going back and forth there. So
I love that.
Try.
You know, you are winning. We said it earlier kind of as a joke, but the reason you do what you do, what you give back, what you take, you're doing it for all the right reasons, and you are the winningest in my book right now.
I'll try if I could make money out of my next trick, but that's why I have an assistant going to ask.
Let us know.
I told her part of my job is like, you got to ask for money. Like, I'll give you how much it costs, but I now have an excuse being like, oh, talk to my assistant. Yeah. Here's my thing. Like, when I did the trade shows for software companies, I would win you over, and then you go talk to the salesman over there. Do not ask me to ask for a price for something. Like, asking for money, I give things away too much. I give artwork away. Like, on Christmas Eve, I give out stockings full of art because I like getting out, walking around, and catching people like off guard, smiling. I can't ask for money. It's my
knowing your
weakness.
Strengths.
Oh my God, that's a weakness, so bad weakness. So.
Aaron just tried to take over catering for our new business, and he's like, I can't do it anymore. Everybody's trying to lowball me, and I feel bad. He's like, well, maybe I could give you this. And I'm like, this is how much it costs. Like, we have to pay for the space. We have to pay for the employees. We have to pay for the food. We have to pay to make it. We have to pay to staff it. We have to pay to clean up. Like, I know they don't have the money. They can go somewhere else. Like, you can go to a park, you can bring your own food. You can, but yeah, it's that. You need to know your strengths.
You bring your uniqueness to the table. Like, I love all the places every food you've ever done. I love going to your like Knox was amazing. Selena's phenomenal. All the stuff you do, all the foods you've made, everything else has been great. You only bring you bring that to the table. Like, your strength and skills, I have to remind myself of that too. Being like, oh no, what they want is me. They have something like, if you don't want me, awesome. You can find a cheaper version somewhere else, or someone else do something else. I've had to realize sometimes that it takes a little bit to be, you need a little bit of ego to make sure you're doing okay, because you deserve it. There's a boss me and a worker me. And I say that a lot of times. Like, Boss Magnus says, I got to say this, no offense, but Boss Magnus, like, yeah, I was kind of stressed this week, and I kind of dropped the ball a couple times on things. And I was like, last night, I kind of yelled at myself, being like, Boss Magnus is mad. Like, like Manager Magnus is yelling at you right now, you asshole. Why did you do this? And I was like, oh shit. And I have to realize that every once in a while, those manager voices in the back of my head, they are there kind of for a reason a bit. And I have to remind myself that, like, no, you bring a very uniqueness to the table. They're paying for that. If they want to go someplace else, awesome. They want to use AI art, fine. They weren't going to pay you that money anyway. Yeah. That's like fighting for those $5 that they were not going to pay anyway. Waste of your time. So.
No, and you're worth it. Like, knowing that you're worth that money, that you have put the time, energy, and passion in, and that costs money, because that's what pays your bills, especially as they keep going up.
Oh my God! Was it 30? I saw the inflation and the average went up 31% in the past 2 years.
Inflation. No, inflation's not a thing.
Oh my God! Well, it's also inflation, but also the dollar, the value of dollar is dropping. Like, this is a really historical fact. You like factoids and everything else. So the KGB has sent a guy from Russia to infiltrate Nixon, and what they found, they sent the guy that was Nixon's right-hand man. They found a person that was a buddy to him. So they sent a guy there, and they sent him with $6,000 to like infiltrate. I'm like, $6,000 in the 1970s, something else. I'm like, $6,000. That's all he sent to guy to take down a country by doing this. And I did a quick search and it was like, that's like $130,000 now. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like I can't get over the cost of stuff. But
they wouldn't give somebody now $130,000 to take down a country. They'd give him like $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, it's more effective, I guess. Efficiency, I guess. Who knows? Cheaper back in the day to take down a country, I guess.
Yeah,
now we know.
right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I know on a whim, my factoid brain, I started looking at the cost of things and where inflation kind of goes and volume and stuff. And it is crazy where the dollar is. I mean, now that a dollar is such an odd, like, digital realm, where in the digital realm, dollar doesn't quite matter much anymore in a weird sort of way. Like, there's a guy in England that figured out the banks back in the 90s and early 2012s, that if between 1 and 3 in the morning, that if you typed in an ATM and transferred money back and forth in an ATM anywhere in the UK, you could transfer the money, and then in the morning it would just log the money and keep the money. So this guy made millions of dollars by just transferring money around got down to the bar and did that. So the example there is like he added $14 million to the economy without actually adding a dollar to the economy. So there's more dollar bills that make no sense. So the value of that, the UK pound or whatever it is, the pound is no longer there. So we're having that happen so frequently now that there was that Bitcoin person that they typed in the user ID number and gave them $10 million 2 years ago. The cryptocurrency, they put they put the user's account number in there, and instead of sending $100, they sent 10,745 blah 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 blah. That person spent $10 million in the economy, but the 10 million didn't exist in the economy.
Well, because it's not connected to silver,
right?
We don't have no understanding of the control of what money is. Like, so we're at the mercy. All of us working right now are dealing with here's a number in your bank account. That's what you can use with, but it's a kind of a weird number. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so
well, people have we won't call people boomers. Older people are very upset with the fact that younger people don't use cash or count change or understand money. And I'm like, but what's there to understand?
Right.
Like,
yeah, nothing about it. Yeah.
None
It's a
of
weird.
it makes sense. Tap your phone. Tap and pay.
Dude, yep, exactly. It's an intangible thing now. It's just waving through. So yeah, I was when I was traveling, I went to a tech guy, and the guy had one of the rings that you could just put your hand in front of it, and it would scan one of those things. So he was like, "Pay me," and he was just like that, just wave his hand in front of it and paid. I'm like,
it's like Star
Wars.
He
just was like, yeah. It was just like, I want this car. He could buy anything he wants with this. So. Yeah, so
amazing.
Yeah, so we're unfortunately a monkey that doesn't understand how life works. We've only in the past 100 years figured out society in this sort of level, and is racing faster than our little brains can keep up. And I feel it's tough. And we're just adding stuff to it without realizing where the strengths of humans are, what we should be doing. So it's just tough. I know this is all over the place. Sorry, this is my brain.
No, that's okay.
This is the most amazing interview ever. And I am super bummed that we have to start tying it up because we joked.
I know.
We joked about it being 2 hours, and I could easily keep talking for another hour.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we'll need a part 2.
Well, you guys, you can jump on. I actually have a podcast too, so you can jump on mine.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Sold.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Mind of Magnus is my podcast because this brain is kind of weird. So continue on. Sorry, let's wrap this up.
Where else can people find you?
Magnus Apollo is all my social medias. If you on Instagram, even Patreon, all those things. But Magnus Apollo, find me there. Studio is Magnus Apollo Design. But yeah, it's on all social medias. I try to, as much as I can, keep that Magnus Apollo as my shtick. So yeah, find me there. Message me if anyone has a question, want to see some art, whatever it is. You have a good factoid, find that too. So I'm all for that. So
I've learned the most amazing things from your Factoid Fridays. Do you have one for today?
Brain.
It's Friday. Do you want to share?
I have a bunch of today. So here's one I just found out literally as I'm walking in here. So on the on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, when they say hi ho, what's the next line in the sentence?
It's off to work.
It's off to work I go.
It's not off to work. It's actually they're closing their day. They're they've been working all day, and off to work we go is not right. So it's one of those things. So
interesting.
It's home,
all right.
Home from work we go. It's home from work we go because they're walking back home and singing.
Right.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, no, that's not right. And then the guy who sent it to me sent me a video of a guy putting the original 45 LP or the 45 thing on the thing and playing it. Yeah. So that's my one I just learned right before I jumped on this thing here. So, but I have a long list of random factoids and stuff here. So,
and if we're in Rochester, where can we find you?
if you're in Rochester, I have a studio, but I'm always out doing stuff. So my studio is in downtown, right on State Street. If you want to try to get here, I do open studios now and again. So I follow my socials. You can find out there. So I do like Wednesday nights. Artists can come over, hang out if they want to. Just like a third place. I mean, you guys are amazing because you have a third place. Like work, home, and we need a third place in our lives.
Right.
The reason I love you guys because you actually offer a place for people to be. A lot of artists, I offer a third place on open studio sessions. People come over and hang out here. So, but yeah, look around. You can find me on random stuff. My name, and I have random art here and there. Like if you go to the RMSC, I did all the intro columns for there last year and stuff. So all sorts of stuff.
Either.
Yeah. If you go to RMSC, all the columns are all bright colored. Shawnee Hill and I did these, and it's really pretty. It's actually a scavenger hunt. Go look at it. All the columns have things that are found at the RMSC, the planetarium, or Cummings Nature Center. So kids or drunk adults at night can go do a scavenger hunt. So
very cool.
Yeah. Amazing.
Art shows coming up. Places to buy your stuff.
There, first Friday, there is the Peace Love is happening at Roco. There's a show happening upstairs at the Roco Contemporary Art Gallery. There's also Red, White, and Brew has a sci-fi show with an art group I'm working with called the Creative Creatives.
Oh, wow.
They're doing a show there. It's all sci-fi themed. I have a bunch of random pieces in there. Like I have a giant queen alien cat, booping Jonesy, like the little cat. It's a very cute. It's a mantelpiece. It's like 4 feet wide, printed that way. And also Jack Bear Stamps is a guy. He has a little art mini machine that does like those little, coin operated egg things come out. He's doing there. We have art in that too as well. So a lot of stuff's happening. So
amazing.
Oh, and I wore a shirt.
I was going to say, I nice, the Eclipse shirt. My God, I got to do another design. It's just clouds because it was Rochester.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was fun. That was my. I love the design. I had blast making that one. It's a 3-color simple design, halftone. So I did it myself. I sold it, and people had a blast. So I get a lot of compliments on that. So
we love it.
That's awesome.
Okay, but thanks for having me on, guys. You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, that was a great interview.
Yeah. John Magnus Champlin, Magnus Apollo Design, the Mind of Magnus podcast, and 8,000 other things and places you can find him.
The list of questions and topics that we didn't get to,
right?
Because knowing what we know about Magnus and what we wanted to talk to Magnus about, not saying that I'm unhappy with the interview at all. Loved the interview. But we prepare for these things and we make sure we have things to talk about. I never thought we would spend that much time talking about organizational skills and hiring help when we asked him to be on the show. Honestly, we all struggle with those.
Right. That's what I was going to say. So many things we all have in common, no matter what it is, what we do. So
we always say that. Every job you do, there's a level of things that's the same for every business owner, and it's organizational skills and hiring help.
Exactly.
I think our next one-on-one should be about hiring help and job descriptions and how we choose to go about that.
Let's do it.
I love that we all had different ways of organization. So I was actually just talking to somebody about this. Like, I watch and listen and engage all these people that give you all these tidbits. And I'm like, this is a great idea. This is a great. And then I stress out about how I haven't been able to implement that strategy. For example, social media calendars. I cannot make and follow a social media calendar to save my life.
I can make them.
I stress out about making it because I know I'm not going to follow through.
Right.
And then I was like 6 months in and trying to make a social media calendar. I was like, why? This is working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I'm doing is working. Why change it?
Even when I try to make it simple, like Monday, we're going to focus on this. Sunday, we'll do a teaser. Tuesday is this. Wednesday, no, it's whatever happens in the moment. Like I just got a brand new shipment of all these new NA beers. Well, we're going to just do that today. And it doesn't matter what I plan because I don't think we have businesses like that, though. I feel like there are certain businesses you can do that, but ours are just ever changing and evolving. And, like this week, I could have had a great plan for how I was going to roll things out, but it is 97 gazillion degrees, so I can't turn on the oven. So everything we have to do is on a flat top or a fryer. So
I'm not promoting my rooftop at the end of June.
No.
Nobody wants to be on my rooftop this week. Like all my posts for this week were planned on being on a rooftop.
Right.
So note to all you entrepreneurs, do the best you can with whatever works for you. And we tell people to follow us and listen to our podcast, but I think you should follow Magnus.
to be in his brain. I feel like that's all his podcast is just his brain.
Well,
that's fun.
Follow us at Bossy Rock on all the social media platforms, ROC. Find us at bossyrock.com. Email us at bossyrock@gmail.com. Be bold.
Be brave.
Be the boss.